Hi folks, welcome back to the B29 restoration project. The last video, which I think will be coming out Wednesday the July 3rd, I think is the video where I'm fiberglassing the top of this thing. As you can see, it's obviously in primer now, and pretty much the majority of the airplane's in primer. The top of it has got 2 coats on it. The outer wing panels, they both have 2 coats top and bottom. And excuse me, the fuselage, once I roll it over to do the gear door stuff, I'll roll 2 coats of primer on the bottom of the fuselage. It's getting close, guys. It's really close. A whole lot of sanding to go on, and outside of gear doors and what I'm working on now, which will be the focus of this video, we'll get to that in just a moment. This thing is almost ready for paint. Like it's really close. The goal of having it painted or mostly painted by the end of the summer before it gets cold up here is looking very achievable. I get a pay raise here in July, go me, so that'll help pay for a lot of the stuff that's got to go for this thing, because still a long ways to go to pay for everything we need for this thing. So, but for those of you who have donated so far, again, we greatly appreciate it. And yeah, well, anyway, let's get to talking about the B29. Originally, this whole top half of the B29 was just vacuum formed clear plastic here and then on the front. Obviously, it is not that way anymore. The guy that we picked up the airplane from, he said that they always had an issue with the top of the plastic getting hot and deforming and sagging. They tried a couple of different things and nothing really worked. So while we're at this point, we may as well do something that'll fix that. So as you can see, there is a whole lot of stuff going on here. Basically what I did is I just took off the original clear plastic, which had been done a long time ago. Took some light plywood, just in this case 1/8 inch light ply, and I just cut out a big square, traced out the outline. I'll get to this area here in a minute. It's the same on the other side. Traced out the outline, cut it out, and had a base plate. And then I took some 1/4 inch light ply, cut basically some long rectangles, just some blanks, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Glued them all together, traced out the shape here on the back side, and went and cut it out. And then same thing using the clear plastic piece, I cut it in half, had a long rectangular piece here on the bulkhead, and then up against the back of this bulkhead, or I should say the base plate in the back of the bulkhead, traced out the rough side view using the clear plastic canopy that was original. Fixed it because it was really wavy because of the heat and it just deforming. Got this, and now just kind of cut everything to glue it to make it look right. The front was a bit more of a headache. Thankfully I have a couple of these. I have this one, which has got some defects in it, so it's not really usable, but it worked well enough to figure out the shape of it. And yeah, it works. The problem is it's not really the right shape. You look at it from the side and it's more of a, let's see here, it's more of a bowl shaped than anything, and it should be a little bit less deep. So what I then did is I kind of traced the shape of the nose of the fuselage on this piece of plywood, and then slowly just started kind of drawing lines with a compass and a pen to get the curve I wanted. Unfortunately, a B29 nose is completely round from everything I have found, so all of the cross sections are perfect circles. This one is not. This one is very much probably more of an oval than an egg shape, but it's wider than it is taller, which kind of, it makes it more oval than anything. And then it's not really a perfect oval because it's like got very little curve here and then a whole lot of curve up here. Same thing on the bottom. The bottom's not quite as bad, but anyways, I started looking at how to, well, let me back up a little bit. Since it has this oval shape here at the very front, that makes the canopy flatness at the top look worse than it is. And it just exacerbates the problem of it looking like they're laying flat instead of more vertical, especially the ones here on the side. So it's kind of left with a conundrum of how to fix more or less from this back bulkhead here all the way forward, because that's about how much of the nose would have to be fixed. A good, if not all the way back to here, at least up to here. It's a good 12 to 16 inches or so. Well, 6 to 12 inches. So I kind of was just staring at it and thought about it for a while. I'm back to work now. Vacation is officially over, and because of that, time to work on this thing is slowed down. I've been working a little bit more or extra hours to try and pay for some of this stuff. Quit kicking the tripod and the camera will stop moving. So anyways, back to how to fix the issues here. I took the base plate before I had any of this glued on, and I just slowly started, well, before I put the base plate on there, I started drawing here on the very front of the nose. I took the compass and I drew what the circle would look like, and the circle was 3/8 of an inch of material here to be moved off the center of the circle, the cheek edge of it I should say, and then it just kind of tapered off to nothing at the tops and bottoms, a lot on the sides, and like a 1/4 or so inch of material here at the tops and then here at the bottoms. It was going to be just a lot of work to get this perfectly circular and then transfer that all the way back however far it needed to be to get the look right. So I'm kind of going to fudge it here a little bit. So what I did is I got this bulkhead to the shape that I was kind of happy with. I'm still not 100% happy with it, but it's better than what it was, so I'm gonna be happy, and I'm just gonna get to work. So I got this shape where I was happy. I transferred the outline of it onto the front, and that's why you see this bare balsa wood here. There's another one here, and then once I had this outline shaped, I took the base plate and I just kind of moved it and twisted it to get the nice gentle curve that I was looking for, and I traced that here onto the top plate of the cockpit, and then sanded the base plate to the shape that I wanted and transferred it and got there. And then I just took my permagrip block and I sanded a big flat area here on either side, threw the fiberglass, the balsa wood into the foam and everything, and then I just glued a couple of balsa wood blocks in place. Took the razor plane to kind of knock the majority of the material down, and then now these are ready to sand into the rest of the base plate, and then all these cross-sectional bulkheads for the cockpit area. The front here, actually I've got this 3D printing right now. I have one that I printed last night that is, the shape is close, but it's a little off in area, so it's wider and more oval than what it should be. And you can see, and when you put it on here, it's about like that. It's a little bit too big too, so I actually made the new one a little bit smaller, but it's a little tall, a little high here. It's really wide here at the bottom quarters, I'll say, and then since it's too big, it doesn't account for the taper that this bulkhead will once you get it sanded. So it was close. It's a good guess. I'll talk about how I got this shape cross transferred into CAD without guessing, since it's a really oddball shape. And the tool I use comes from Shaper. It's called a Shaper Trace. It's more or less a picture frame with some dots on it. You see it here. And basically what you do is you put whatever you're wanting to convert to a SVG or a scalable vector graphic. You put that inside of here. You use their website on your phone and the camera on your phone, and you take a picture of it, and automatically it automatically converts whatever's inside the picture frame to a vector file that you can upload into most CAD programs. This thing works amazing for converting flat parts. This is only good for really flat parts. Flat parts, paper plans, if it'll fit inside this thing, it works amazing. Again, it's called Shaper Trace. I want to say it's under $100. I got these off of Kickstarter when they were a thing, and I think I bought 2 for like $115, so they're probably $100 or less for one of them by now. Totally worth the money if you do any sort of CAD work, or if you have a CNC router or a laser cutter and you want to convert some smaller parts into CAD so you can replicate them. Downside is the size. I think it's only about 8.5 by 11.5. Like it about the size of a sheet of paper is about all you're going to get inside of the picture frame, unfortunately. So if you got really long parts, you still got to do it the old-fashioned way and measure and all that stuff and do it the manual way. So anyway, enough talking. What I'm in the process of doing now is I'm slowly sanding most of this into shape. You can kind of see here in the background, I've got a ton of just pink foam insulation blocks that I cut that are going to go in here, and these will get hot wired to shape, and then they will all get sanded to shape. The whole thing will get probably a layer or 2 of fiberglass, probably a layer of 6 ounce and then a layer of 1.5 ounce on top of it. The 3D printed part that I have going now will get glued on here. The fiberglass will get wrapped around the seam of that to kind of help it. Anyways, and then a whole lot of body work will get done. Once all the body working is done and it's smoothed out, I'll detail it by putting all of the outlines for the windows in it, the frame up here at the front. I may or may not put the screws around the windows so they're molded into it. Haven't really decided yet. The screws on this thing would be extra tiny, where they would almost be kind of, you wouldn't really be able to see what they are. And then once all that's done, this whole thing will get waxed, and I will actually mold. I'll probably have one mold section here for the front, and then I'll have another section back here that will do the top. It'll likely overlap the current fuselage by about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch to give it something to slide over on top of. That'll give us a bonding ring, and then some body filler to go around it to blend it into the rest of the airplane. So that's the plan. Unfortunately, I have to leave for work tomorrow for about a week, and then I'll be home for a few days, and I'll be gone for another week, and then home for a few more days, and that's pretty much my whole month for the month of July. Summertime is busy time. So anyways, enough yabbing from me, and let's get to work. folks, it's all glued up and the glue is pretty much dry. I've got this 3D printed part now. It's just tack glued on the front here. And now I've kind of come over here with a coarse perma grip block and roughed everything in after hot wiring it. And now I'm just kind of taking some 80 grit sandpaper on a sanding block and trying to get it a little bit closer to the shape that I'm looking for. So for now, back to work. It's roughed in pretty close. You see there's some where the plywood is, it still has indentations there. Some of the plywood pieces don't quite come all the way out to the edge or up to the top, or the front edge of it is up at the top and the back's not. So I'm leaving these little indentations there. I'm going to fill all of this in with some drywall spackle, since I don't have any. That will have to wait till I come back from work. But this side's pretty close. This side, this one here is a little off, I believe. At least the plywood part is. So I've got it a lot deeper than the rest, and a lot of these don't quite come all the way out to the edge, so they're pretty far recessed in as well. Not that you can really probably see in the shade, but for now it's gonna have to do. We can see the 3D printed part. There's some spots where it's not quite the perfect fit, which, I mean, with not having CAD files and it not being a perfect circle, just kind of got to do with what we can here. Honestly, if I was gonna start completely from scratch, I'd probably just redo the whole nose. But looking at it dead on, or on the front here, it's close to being round, but it's not completely. So we'll fudge it with a little bit of body filler. You can see here we got the nice flat spot. You can actually, you can't really see it in the video, but there's actually, the shape is already kind of predetermined. So this, like I said, I get some drywall spackle, smear it all over it, do a whole lot more sanding, probably a couple more iterations of spackle, sand, spackle, sand, spackle, sand, and then I'll glass it. And then this will get some paint, this will get primer on it, this will get primer on it, a lot of body filler up here at the front to blend all of this back in together, and then it'll be more body work, primer sand till we get it nice and smooth, and then we'll detail it with all the cockpit stuff and mold the thing. So that's that. The last little bit of the horizontal stabilizers, only thing I had left to do was to drill out the hole here for the retention pin, and there's a bolt that'll be going through the leading edge here. It's a hardwood dowel that you probably may or may not remember me putting in. I did that earlier, so we've got that's there. I just need to drill the hole for the pin. Coming over here, you can see the horizontal stabilizers. That's the pin. It's a piece of 1/2 inch G10. It's just held in there with some epoxy, and it will just slide right in like so. A bolt from the leading edge, and that's will be what holds the horizontal stab on. The wing has a very similar thing as well, which I have that. You can see there, that's the hole for the forward wing retention bolt. They put brass tubes around it. I'll probably do the same thing on, excuse me, on the horizontal stabilizer. I still need to put that pin in here. This dowel, I believe it's this one, no, it's the other one, it's still loose, so I got to pull that dowel out and epoxy it back in there. And then I need to get back to work making cowlings for this thing. So lots of work to do still, but right now the focus is cockpit section, get that done, flip the airplane back over, get the gear door stuff done, prime the bottom, sand the bottom, get the whole airplane finished sanded, all the body work done on these, on the fuselage and the wings and this tail section. And once all that's done, we'll slowly start doing equipment installation stuff, like running wires. I'll have some of that. I'll have some wire here on order in probably the next week or two, and then we'll get painting as well. Probably paint it before we do any of the other stuff, because there's really not a whole lot to cut into. So for now, I got to go back to work. This video will probably come out on July the 5th. So hope everybody here in the US has a great 4th of July weekend. Everybody else in the world, y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.